We want to get some more analysis, and let me bring in my guest, Mr. Makram Rabah in Beirut. He is a lecturer of the Department of History at the American University of Beirut. Thank you so much for joining us on Asia Today, Mr. Rabah.
Good afternoon.
So, ties were strained between Israel and the UAE last month in the lead up to the deadly clashes between Israel and Gaza. What do you think about UAE's policy on Israel now?
Well, certainly it had to do directly with Gaza, but more so with the character of Benjamin Netanyahu, who was trying to use the peace accord in order to convert it into an internal win. As you know, during the elections, he wanted to visit the UAE in an attempt to tell his Israeli voters that he had an upper hand and that he is trying to pursue the interests of the Israelis abroad. This is something the UAE refused to indulge in, and more importantly, it drew a red line for Netanyahu, who was trying to use Gaza as leverage to stay in power. However, what happened in the Knesset proved that Netanyahu cannot stay, and here we have a transition of power into Naftali Bennett's cabinet, and this visit right now is a kind of refocusing of the fact that these accords are not between the UAE and Netanyahu, but rather from one country to another, and this is why today's Israeli foreign minister's visit to the UAE plays an important role in pursuing not the idea of peace, but rather the real elephant in the room is the containing of Iran, who is a joint enemy of both states.
Yeah, well, considering the major shift in power in Israel and with these two countries deepening their ties, do you think perhaps one country has more to gain than the other out of the normalization process?
Well, certainly the way they went about it, the Israelis tend to gain more, be it commercially or politically. However, I think that the thing that we're not talking about is a security cooperation, and for the whole region to be lucrative and to be prosperous, one has to contain Iran. And this visit comes on the heels of the ongoing talks in Vienna between the Biden administration and Iran. And also this visit comes after the election of the hawkish Iranian president, Raisi. All this they have to be brought on the table, and both sides need to cooperate in order to contain Iran's influence, not only in the Gulf, but rather in the whole Middle East.
All right. Thank you for your analysis, Mr. Makram.